Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Build Time. Today we've got Stefan and Nara. Nara is going to be going over her article, and it includes the new Suspense way of fetching data with React 18. And it's an interesting one to go over because last time we talked about this, I think we were all kind of still kind of learning what this is. And Nara did a lot of research on this, so she's going to kind of be the teacher for today and tell us about this new way of fetching data with React. And it definitely is relevant to what we're doing at Cosmic because we do a lot of implementation on data fetching. We try to help our customers get the most out of the Cosmic API, and it's always kind of a moving target to find out what the best and most optimized way is to create these data powered user experiences. So yeah, with that, I'll hand it over to Nara. Nara, take it away, please.
Okay. Guys, new features provide, as we do, as React do, great work for provide the best user experience as we can, as fast as interactive way, and what new React 18 provide us the way to doing it more faster and more relevant for our users. They provide the suspense and selective iteration. What is it? What it could improve our app, our development, and user interaction with our application or websites. Before the React 18, we load all the page as the parents until the child, and then our page start to interact and iterate, and user can click on it, interact with it, see the whole page in action. But React 18 provide the way how we can skip the big data part. If we have the components that we know it's need to long time for fetching, we do the asynchronous fetching on it. We just cover it into the suspense and take a time to loading this part of application, and other stuff come in the with HTML, and user can see all application and start to interact in other parts until our suspend part is complete. Even though what is selective iteration, when let's pretend we have a big chunk, like post or categories or other stuff, it needs to load time, and we have 2-3 components that need to load. Other stuff is show up when user click on something. This stuff, other stuff is top iterating. Priority come with the active part, it's complete, then iteration is continued. It's big part for interaction because user don't see the pause, don't see the white page and other stuff. You can try it out. Before React 18, we fetch on the render. We use effect for fetching our main data in client side.
Before we get into that, Nora, sorry to interrupt, but I think I love the way that we're kind of going a little bit high level and talking about what is hydration. Hydration is basically the data that is rendered into your React components. Now, this has always been a big part of rendering data through UI components is how to best do that. And throughout, I guess, React's existence, there's been libraries to handle this, right? State management libraries, Redux, other solutions. I've used MobX before. So there's like a lot of other methods and strategies for handling state management. And, I guess in the last few years, we've had hooks as like the new offered solution from the React core team, right? They've released hooks, and use effect is one of those hooks, right? That kind of since what is it? Is it since React 16 or 17 that they've offered this ability to do use effect, and then that's sort of been the way that we've been handling data fetching, which has been fine, right? Like it's been an improvement, I think, on kind of the complexity. But I guess Suspense is sort of the new way that they're offering to provide sort of a more optimized way, right? And I'm still kind of learning this, so correct me if I'm wrong on any of these things, but it seems like maybe Suspense is intending to replace use effect. Use effect was sort of like the more optimized way of data fetching, and it uses React hooks, which is also, I guess, fairly new in the last few years as far as in the React ecosystem. So just kind of, trying to wrap our heads around like, the timeline and what are these different methods?
Okay, I mean, React team provide, we can still continue use use effect, but we notice when we use use effect for data fetching, we see in strict mode data calling in 2x, but it's only in development mode, because for optimization part, our React application will mount our component, dismount our component, and demount it again for check our code is working properly. I mean, it's part for, if you see the use effect calling twice the same data fetching, I mean, not surprised, because it's new improvement part for React 18. Yeah, it's on Suspense. It's not data fetching. It's not for, actually, I mean, it's not compare for use effect. It's just show up. I mean, React know data is need to fetch. I mean, it's not complete yet, but it's do asynchronously. And when this part is complete, I show up this part, only this part. I mean, not all application. We not need to wait until all application JS part is complete. That's the beauty of Suspense. I mean,
okay, so we haven't gotten to the Suspense example yet, but I guess just to clarify, like the point of this article is to really kind of focus on the difference between the old way of doing use effect and the new way of doing Suspense. Okay, so let's take a look at use effect again really quick, if you wouldn't mind just scrolling back up and seeing how this actually works. So we have a data fetch happening, fetch data by type, and then below that we have use effect, which sort of sets these different variables that we render in the return, right? So
for cleanup, is that
okay.
And this part, I mean, we do the cleanup use effect for, because as component mounting and mounting and mounting again, we need to clear up. We use last fetching data. That's why we need to clean up use effect, and for not overthinking our fetching logic and stuff like that.
So this is also key as far as like API requests, because you don't want to hit that API response too many times. You want to be as efficient as possible with your API response. And so this is another kind of important point for just optimizing your services. If you have like any sort of limits on API requests with the service that you're using, or if you want to minimize your data fetching to your database, like this is a really important thing to just keep in mind, that this is sort of
remember every time.
For use effect, this method, you just need to be very efficient with it, and it looks like it's kind of hacky, right? Like you kind of have to like hack it a little bit. Like you'd think that maybe this is something that would be somewhat out of the box, would optimize this, but I guess this is sort of more manual at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, we provide also small example for both of the tapes, for use effect, data fetching parts, and also with Suspense. You can play around, check in your site, compare, I mean, do exactly what you want. with that use effect, we provide the main step-by-step guidelines. I mean, we connect with Cosmic, fetch our content, and try to show up. The same
So
thing.
with this,
Yeah.
with this example, this will be in the show notes, and it looks
Yeah.
like this is a Stack Blitz link that you can interact with,
Yeah.
and it features
Yeah.
those two methods, right? Use effect. I see a fetch with use effect folder, and then
Yeah.
there's a is there a fetch with suspense, or is that
Suspense. Yeah.
something? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we attach link with the video and also with article. You can check it out, connect with your project with Cosmic, try your data fetching part, provide your way, which is best for you, which is best for your application. I mean, we always be grateful to learn something new. I can continue for the
Yeah, so we saw what use effect was like. Now let's take a look at what suspense offers, how this is an improvement.
okay. Suspense provide us way render as you fetch. I mean, it's mean we do asynchronously part for fetching data, the components which we provide, I mean, which we cover up. Let me show you. Into the suspense, like I take these components and
Would you mind zooming in a
provide,
little bit on the code?
yeah, of course.
That's probably more useful than the beautiful art images.
Of course.
So suspense is a component that you wrap around these elements that have data dependencies, right? Those two components, main and card, are doing some sort of data fetching, and we are using suspense to wrap it and provide a loading message prior to the data hydration.
Until they fulfill, I mean, we do the component here. So we do into the component, we do the fetching part. And as a main, I mean, suspense take a main state for understanding which component is still fetching, which is fulfilling like a promise, and which part of rejectable. I mean, suspense, the similar thing like a error boundary, but with error boundary, we just throw up and show up the error part. In suspense, the same way, check our updates, our element updates, our category, card, main updates, and when data is fulfilled, they just show up, iterate our elements into the web page. This is the beauty. I mean, it's do asynchronously for the main page. It's like a take apart, create, finish up the job, and then return in the main page. That's why it's more faster than before.
Can we go back to the Notion article? And okay, so I think there was a so just to kind of support what you just mentioned there. So suspense, in effect, it renders the UI and the data fetching, or it starts the rendering and data fetching simultaneously, right? I think that's the word that they used in the React blog post, is that it's parallelizing the fetching, right? So you're not having to like wait for data to load before you see the UI. You're actually it's a much better experience for the user, because it's you actually have something, I guess, to see prior to the data population, right?
I mean, your user more interact with the page before all your application complete. I mean, iterate, and
it's somewhat sorry, but it's somewhat I want to say that what I read from the article on the React website was that it's somewhat decentralizes like the dependencies almost, where you have like one UI element requires data from this source, another element from this source, and it kind of creates a more independent type of data fetching scenario versus everything sort of depending on like instead of like a blocking waterfall is what they use, right? That term waterfall meaning that you have these conditions need to be met before you see this one UI element versus really kind of letting everything sort of populate at once, which is a faster, better experience for the user. Is that kind of correct?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It's correct. I mean, I learned also. I mean, that's why Suspense us provide the way for if we have the parts that we know it's the needs more time for fetching, we provide the Suspense. I mean, cover up these elements into Suspense and take our page chance to load HTML, hydrate that part, and then continue the elements which asynchronously fetch the elements, Suspense element data, and hydrate that part also.
Perfect.
I mean,
Can you scroll up while you're
repeat.
mentioning this? I think it's important to see like exactly. Hold on. The parent that Suspense code there. Let's see the code. Let's see the code. Let's see the code. Everybody wants to see the code. So here's I guess what you mentioned was like, it's asynchronous for all these sections. You have Suspense here in this middle area, and then at the bottom you have Suspense encompassing the category component. So those will like, have their own separate loading states, and maybe the category will load first and then the main and card will load next. But it doesn't block. They're not blocking each other, right?
Yeah. Now, they are, even though if they don't block each other, when user click on card, on main, or category at first, this part Suspense hydration stop and finalize this part of hydration. I mean, that's why it's selective hydration. Which part for user is more interesting in your page, this part finalize first, then other part is complete. That's its beauty. I mean, your user not wait long time until all part is complete. They just can interact with exactly part that is interesting for him.
Brilliant. All right. Can we scroll up to that React article on the React website? Because I think that's good to point out to the viewers here. Like we'll have this linked up in the show notes to this article. Can you scroll up? I think it's on your actual article you wrote. Yeah, you referenced the article on the React website, the blog, at the very start of this article.
Okay, let me remember.
Yeah, it's on the title. Yeah, data fetching approaches. Go back down. Yeah, that's it right there. So this is, I think, what was really helpful for me is to kind of understand like these points that they had in this article about like, it definitely is more of an experimental feature at this point, right? But it does a good job of just telling you the difference between use effect and Suspense. It provides more pseudocode, right? What you've done, Nara, is like you've definitely like plugged in like real data sources so you can kind of test it. Like we'll have the Stack Blitz link so that you can go and test out like the data fetching and sort of build on top of it to test out the different approaches. But I think this does a good job of just telling you like the fetch on render, fetch then render, render as you fetch, like all of these things I think are very clear in like what this approach does for your just sort of time to interactivity on the page, right? Like it definitely is attempting to speed up the time to interactive and really providing a better user experience than you would with like the use effect approach.
I agree. I mean, and it's slice your time. I mean, for first load your page, first loading time is increase. You can, I mean, check it out, compare your projects or create small project and check how time you can decrease using Suspend and use effect. Just for clear understand how it can improve, how partial, I mean, when you split your app with the big parts, you can provide with Suspense and other parts as usual, and you can just see the time of first page interaction and loading. It's good experience to know as developer and for take care of your users.
And it's fun to use too. Like you got like
Yeah.
options of your code that say suspense. It feels very dramatic.
Yeah. I mean, you can try.
Yeah, great work on this, Nora. We'll have the article posted shortly with links and everything. Stefan, anything to add on this?
I've been all ears. Honestly, this is learning for me. So thanks, Nara. I've gone through a nice journey of kind of checking everything out too. And I think you know, as React kind of develops more, I see there's certain things that are very hard and I guess even hard to understand, like use effect and I guess hydration and double pass rendering and like example the waterfalls, and it seems like Suspense is a step in that direction of avoiding a lot of those things that have already been so ingrained in the way we developed with React. So yeah.
Great stuff. And the team is always improving these things, you know. I remember you know, it's been a while since I've used those like state management libraries and tried to build, you know, kind of big applications with React myself. Luckily, we've got a great team at Cosmic that does a great job of like handling all of the like big, you know, data fetching type of strategies. But I remember it was definitely one of those things that was very challenging. And, you know, I think it's just an ongoing process of trying to make this part of the application development process using React easier and better for the end user. And I think it's a great ecosystem to be a part of. I definitely see a lot of progress and a lot of efforts being made to like smooth out these like kind of rough spots and make this a great developer experience as well as a great user experience. So it's cool. It's cool to see. It's always good to like learn more about what's the latest. And thank you guys for pushing us on build time to learn about these cool new techniques. So I think that's about it for us on this one. Anything else to add, Nora? Or are we good to wrap it up?
I mean, just for update part, Suspense, I mean, React team, as they provide information, they continue improving Suspense. It could be fetching part also. It's not yet, but it could be for other version. I mean, just follow, learn as a developer. It's our main work and it's fun. I mean, why not?
Absolutely.
Go build cool stuff with it. Have fun. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, peace, everyone.